Star Trek Captain's Chair to Boldly Go, Shrinking, and Richard Simpson from the We're Not Wizards podcast. This is Staying In.
Who's doing the kettle sound? I mean, do you have
Kettle
a
sound?
the kettle
What?
sounds? You know who does? Because at the beginning, I'm assuming that one of you does the kettle sound.
Oh, the kettle. I
But
thought
this is like at the beginning of the show, right? All I hear is
Yeah.
you hear is, and then you get like somebody on the other going, you know, cheeseburgers, you know, how to mow with a fridge, my big garden, and stealing kids' popcorn at a cinema. This
that's my
is
favorite
staying
episode.
in.
Yeah.
You know.
So who's
It's
doing
not-
the kettle?
It's
We don't have a Michael Winslow here, kind of doing all of our sound
Do you
effects
not?
behind the scenes.
Well, that's
That'd
a
be
shame.
great. That'll make
No.
editing a lot simpler. Also,
Good.
this is probably a good time to address, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, there was a period of time where we used to have the sound of pouring as part of the interstitial breaks in the show.
I sometimes
Do you
use that.
sometimes use it? Well, the one bit of, can you imagine this? The one bit of criticism that we've ever had about the show is it sounds like someone urinating halfway through. So after that, I just not been able to get it out of my head. So I just stopped including it. It's just like halfway through, it's just like running water into a pot, and I just can't. That they've just imprinted that image onto me, and that's why I never use that sound anymore.
Is this a started then? I'm not used to this kind of relaxed kind of.
I think this is a better time than any.
You know, who knows if we've been sorry? We've spent the last 20 minutes being lambasted by Sam for not knowing enough about Greek mythology. So who knows where we are?
This is when we need Pete, because he'd be able to tell us. He'd obviously would have had it researched and known everything, and I am very poor by saying I know nothing about the Odyssey.
I don't know if Pete's read the Odyssey actually.
I don't know.
Probably
Maybe
has.
we should
I mean-
set him on that path, because I think that would be very, very interesting. Talk
Send him a
about
message.
spoiler free though, going into the Odyssey and not knowing the plot. I mean, is that the greatest avoidance of spoilers in the last couple of thousand years? I don't know.
No, I feel like Greek mythology kind of is, if you're not interested in researching it, it is kind of dense enough that you could get through life without knowing it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's that.
No, you can't.
It's that kind
no,
of.
you can't.
I think you can. Well, I have.
So you go through your whole life not knowing if someone says to you, "Oh, flew too close to the sun there, Dan." You go through your whole life not knowing.
That's fine. References is fine, but
Yeah, so
I
references.
don't need to
so,
know the Odyssey to understand that.
So
reference.
you know what a Trojan horse is, yeah?
Of course I do.
So
Yeah,
that's part of the Odyssey.
I know. I've got no doubt, but doesn't mean I know the Odyssey. I just know kind of the highlights that have broken through into popular culture. I know the memes of the Odyssey.
Great. Homer now.
The Odyssey memes, the Trojan horse, Icarus. Those are the ones.
Well,
Is
isn't part
Icarus
of
in the
Odyssey.
Odyssey?
No, he's not.
See, you're throwing me now because I thought he was, because you just inferred.
Well, you said you knew nothing about Greek mythology, but I'm saying that you do.
And clearly I've just demonstrated that fact.
What about Minotaur? Is he in the
No.
Odyssey?
No, he's not.
add all these questions.
I mean, spoilers for the film, but the big beastie of the Odyssey is the Cyclops, and there's also the Harpies.
Is it set in space? Because I know Christopher Nolan, he did Interstellar,
Yeah,
and he's done Oppenheimer, and I'm just wondering,
he's not
is he
known for
looking to
space
get back
movies.
into
I mean, you realize Oppenheimer isn't space.
Yeah, he's only ever
I know
done
it's not
one
space.
space movie.
yeah, but that's what
Yeah,
I'm
of the
saying.
12 he has made, only one involved space.
I think I feel like I'm some kind of disruptor here. I'm like some kind of whisk that I've come in, because it's usually so organised and you have your own sections. and I've
whisk.
kind of come in like some kind of Scottish whirling dervish.
It's
here to
great.
mix
I
up
mean,
the ingredients, you know.
it's good to have a bit of a mix up every once in a while, and it's good to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
I will just say my last bit about Greek mythology is if you've got kids and you really want to mess with them, right? Drop in some little nuggets of Greek mythology, because it really twists their noodle. So we were talking Me and my son the other day were talking about the cycles of the day, the fact that the sun comes up and then there's the moon, but actually the moon's always there, but it just appears like the sun replaces the moon, right? And we were talking about how this is caused by the fact of the Earth's rotation upon its axis, and then just as I've established a scientific truth on him, I'll drop in something like, and did you know there are some people who believe that the sun and the moon is actually dragged along by a wolf? Bye!
And I must admit, right, when I listened to the podcast, and thank you very, very much for inviting me on, I feel there's always been a little bit of synergy in the shows that have been discussed by Mr. Dan Frost here.
Hi there.
And I wonder, I've got a question for you before I talk about it, which is, have you seen Shrinking on Apple TV at all?
I have
Right.
seen some of it, some of the early stuff. And the reason I haven't seen more is probably the reason most people watch some of the Apple TV shows, is that their free trial has stopped and they haven't had a chance to find a new one yet. I actually have recently got a new 3-month trial in there, and Shrinking is definitely one of the shows I want to watch. I think I watched perhaps half of the first series, or maybe the first series, and really, really enjoyed it. I think is it into 4th series now?
I think I'm in the similar situation to yourself, is that I am one of these people that, because streaming services are expensive, that I will wait until I get like the email from like Now TV saying have the next 6 months at $2.99. But then what I'll do is I'll temporarily put something else on pause. And we, me and my wife, I'm stealing that, Mr. Turner. We started watching the 3rd series of Silo, and then we didn't realise it had just kind of premiered, but we didn't realise they're doing it in kind of like a weekly release format. So we kind of like went, great, we'll get Apple TV, we'll start watching the next season of Silo, we'll watch the first episode, and then it dropped that old, the next episode's not out till next Friday.
I see. So, yeah.
So
sucks if you have a limited.
Look, what I'm saying, gentlemen, is I'm £10 in the hole here, and I ain't sitting there and just wasted an Apple subscription for the next
watching
4 weeks.
one show a week.
So hence we jumped into Shrinking, and I think I started watching it like when we were watching Ted Lasso, and then I watched the first couple of episodes with it, and I don't know how much, if you've seen any of it at all, Sam.
I've not. It's on my to-do list in terms of Apple TV Plus stuff. I mean, it's interesting why you'd go from Silo to something like Shrinking, when there's things like For All Mankind and
Murderbot,
or The Foundation, to all those great apparently sci-fi shows. I'm currently watching For All Mankind, which is an incredibly silly but enjoyable TV show. Why Shrinking when you were wanting to go quite sci-fi?
Oh, okay. So I wanted something light and breezy.
Okay.
So I wanted to watch a show about a man who's grieving for the loss of his dead wife.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shrinking doesn't really fit that description there.
I thought, how can I cheer myself up when the world is in a strange place at the moment? I thought, let me watch. But in all honesty, it was one of these things. I started watching it, as I say, I watched a couple of episodes when I was watching the kind of the latest season, the last season of Ted Lasso, and it got recommended to me by Apple, saying, "Oh, if you like this, you should like this." And it's like, "Oh, why would it do that?" But it turns out that Brett Goldstein, who was heavily
Yeah.
involved in kind of Ted Lasso, is also involved in Shrinking. So it's literally about a guy called Jimmy. He's played by Jason Segel, who is he's getting over the passing of his wife. He's got a young daughter. He's trying to reconnect with her, and he's also trying to do good by basically one of his psychotherapy patients. He's a psychiatrist, hence the term shrinking. And for some reason, they end up staying with him, and it's a kind of like discovering yourself after grief kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost different stages in kind of people's lives. But it's played as like a comedy, and they don't. It's kind of interesting because they do really really try to tackle kind of like the subjects of grief, and it's intermixed with kind of like the different patients that are coming into the psychiatrist's kind of practice. But it's not kind of always sad all the time. It's kind of peppered with these kind of laugh out loud moments, and there is nothing that kind of does it kind of more laugh out loud than Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is absolutely hilarious in this show. I am used to kind of Harrison Ford kind of being all kind of moody and
Mm-hmm.
you know everything from our hero kind of thing. I think one of the, I've been catching up. I think we're not very very long into it, but Harrison Ford's like he starts off quite stoic and kind of dry and everything like that, and you're like, and he almost plays like a kind of a counter to Jimmy kind of trying to find his way in the world. But there's then kind of a revelation about his character, and he started on this slightly different journey, and Harrison Ford is playing goofy and silly and just very very un-Harrison Ford. And there's so many points in his character that have just literally made me laugh out loud and go, what, Harrison Ford was a really good comedy actor? I don't remember anything in his filmography or anything like that that's made me think he can do comedy really well. But the guy's got like the timing and the goofiness, but he's still kind of got the grounding as kind of like Harrison Ford, and it just it's like there's a recent episode where they're at a party. He ends up getting slightly kind of worse for wear for whatever reason, and just the little one-liners and his delivery and just the snippets and the way he kind of like just lightens everything. But it's just very very funny. I didn't expect this from him, and it kind of lightens the series, and because of that, it's making me invest in his kind of character an awful lot more.
Yeah, I think I have watched some of it, and I think the show is very good at addressing really difficult ideas, especially kind of as you mentioned with Jimmy and his grief and the start of things. But the point you make about Harrison Ford is absolutely right, and I think it's one of those things that I've seen it a few times in recent years where I think for us there are certain actors who were really prominent when I was younger that perhaps by the nature of Hollywood they have drifted to the periphery. And not to say that Harrison Ford has done that, but he is not the same leading man as he once was, where he was kind of top of the tree. I look back at things like Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about that show when it came back was I love seeing Steve Martin and Martin Short being given this vehicle to show themselves. Because I grew up on the likes of Father of the Bride and all those kind of things, and like the Three Amigos and those kind of films.
Yeah.
And with obviously Harrison Ford, he has that huge back catalogue. Kind of when I was growing up, all those films. And whilst he absolutely is still a prominent figure in terms of he's still making stuff, there is that sense of the things he is making now. I'm going to come round to Shrinking, but the things he's making now are more stereotype of what Harrison Ford is. So he's given the same kinds of roles because that's the Harrison Ford role. He's not really being challenged in that way. I kind of think the same way in things like Tom Cruise with his Mission Impossible. As amazing as those films are, that's Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Shrinking, you have this thing of like this actor who you think has been cornered into this one area now because of his back catalogue, given this brand new role where he can really stretch his acting muscles. Mentioned Tom Cruise, the trailer for Tom Cruise's
I was going to say that.
upcoming movie Digger has just come out, which is exactly the kind of thing, him stretching those acting muscles in a way that I don't think anyone has ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think that is a wonderful thing with Harrison Ford in this, that you kind of get a bit of the grumpiness that you kind of associate with your classic Harrison Ford role these days. But it does evolve and it does change and it does explore different ideas that enable kind of him to do that. And it is wonderful to see those things. In the same way it made me feel about Steve Martin, Martin Short. Same thing with Ted Danson showing up in The Good Place. Exactly that kind of thing of like this new lease of life for an actor who typically the way Hollywood works is they throw you away and you don't come back really, or you're left to kind of sit in kind of development hell of low budget stuff. It's really nice to see these great actors being given great roles still as they get older, and it is a lovely show that deals with difficult stuff, not just grief but other areas as well. Obviously the whole sitting around therapy and everything that you have there, and variety there, and things with the Harrison Ford character, like the things that he goes through are difficult topics to discuss, especially in a comedic setting, but I think they do it really, really well.
So that's Shrinking's really I'm kind of interested in going back to it, and then every once a week we'll watch Silo and then go, oh, it's quite serious and they're underground and yes. So,
but there's lots of good stuff on Apple. Like I've got a subscription open at the moment. I've got a few things I want to watch on there. I've got Silo I'd like to watch, For All Mankind I'd like to watch, Shrinking, more of that, Slow Horses, Severance season 2 I haven't watched yet, and I loved season 1 of that. But yeah, there's like Apple TV I think at times underestimated by actually how much really good stuff there is on there.
I think because things like Netflix become a staple and Disney Plus become a staple because of their back catalogue and what they've got available. But I must admit, I've like looking at things like Murderbot, Slow Horses, and even the morning show and stuff like that. I've been like, I really need to watch this and check this out. And there's some really, really kind of good stuff. And even going back and watching Severance again, I think is, even though I know what's going to happen, I'm pretty kind of interested in kind of seeing what's going on.
And it's crazy, isn't it? Because, like, in some ways, like Apple have just completely pulled the rug out from everyone, haven't they? Because when the quote-unquote streaming wars started, like, you would have bet your money on HBO Max becoming, like, the destination for big, TV productions. Because before the sort of the media TV landscape became as fragmented as it is at the moment, like, if you wanted quality dramas, if you wanted good quality TV, there was really only one place where you could go, and that was HBO, right? And that was a hallmark of quality for some of the greatest TV shows that have ever been made. And due to a complete lack of massive mismanagement owned by Warner Brothers, really, like, they just haven't made a dent. And Netflix, I think, started off well, but most of their stuff was kind of acquisitions, stuff that was already in sort of production, and stuff that they kind of bought in from other big names. I don't think really, like, TV wise, I couldn't really name of anything off Netflix I'm really interested in watching. But Apple TV is just incredible. Like, it's not just the depth and the brilliance of the TV shows that they make, but it's the breadth of it as well. It's the fact that you've got comedies, you've got dramas, you've got very good, amazing hard sci-fi, just very good like sci-fi, and just incredible. Like it just and slow, obviously Slow Horses is also an amazing.
We've not even mentioned Pluribus, which is one of
Pluribus, yeah.
That's, to me, I'm desperate to watch. I've still not watched that. That's like
Same.
I'm so I don't know anything about it, but I'm so kind of excited to watch that.
Yeah, and it's just like it's, Pluribus is probably at the moment my show of the year, and yeah, it's just kind of just done this all like completely under the radar. It's actually quite staggering, and whereas everything else, I have to sort of second guess myself and go, is that Prime? Is that Disney? Is that Netflix? Like Apple TV just has this identity that if you told me a show, yeah, I could definitely know whether that's been on Apple or not. And I don't know what the formula is. I think they're obviously quite they obviously sort of stick to a show once they start making it. I don't think there's much on that platform that only has one season and then drops off. I think most of the stuff that is on there has had multiple seasons, has had opportunities to grow people into the roles, to develop characters and build scripts out. And whereas I think on most other platforms, specifically Netflix, like you are lucky whether even if you're really good, you are lucky if you get a second season out being on that platform.
Well, we talked last one of the last few episodes about the Burrows, which had got kind of but I know I'd been watching it and we weren't kind of sure how it was going to go, and it kind of bit of a letdown. But that had a lot of money going into it. That had a great cast going into it. Had a great idea going into it, but it's already been cancelled. Yeah. Like there's no. So that's the kind of thing. I think one thing that thinking about that Apple does, I think perhaps one of the reasons it floundered a little bit. I think some of the first shows that came out felt a bit like, oh, they're expensive, but they're a bit naff. Like I think the thing C with Jason Momoa came out. I don't think that reviewed particularly well. But I get the thing, if you compare them, I feel like Netflix especially, and some of the others as well, they kind of flood the platform. So you kind of, there's so much stuff. It's that kind of paralysis of choice. Whereas Apple, there's plenty of stuff on there, but I don't feel like they've flooded the platform like the other ones have. I feel like if I go on there, I'm looking at the Apple stuff and there is it almost feels curated. I know it's not, it's just their stuff, but it feels much smaller, less kind of overwhelming. And you're not just, you're not going to be scrolling through loads of rubbish to get to something good. It's all premium TV.
Absolutely. I think it's a good time for us to continue our discussion of solo games. So in the last podcast, I spoke about Unstoppable, right? And Unstoppable being this really incredible solo game, can be played with two players, but I feel like that is, for that game specifically, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. But Unstoppable, I love. I've actually just bought a couple of play mats for it because I'm a sucker and love organizing things on the table. But it's part of that solo experience, right? It's part of that, right? I'm sitting down and I'm having this experience, and I want this experience to feel decadent and luxurious. So I've been doing quite a lot of dabbling in solo games recently, and it might be something to do with the fact that I'm expecting my second son. Like I'm probably expecting to spend a bit more time just gaming on my own. So I sort of have naturally gravitated towards actually buying quite a lot of solo games recently. So when I was down at UKGE, I was able to get an expansion for Unstoppable. Actually, I also bought Regicide for the first time because I've always been, incredibly interested in that game. Recently, I brought another game called Witchcraft, which I'll probably talk about on a future episode because I think that's a exceptionally smart solo game. But this time, I'm gonna drop a big one and share with you the wonder, the bounty that is Star Trek Captain's Chair.
Oh.
Okay. So it's a beefy boy. Okay.
So are you a Star Trek fan, Sam?
I've never watched an episode of Star Trek in my life.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
I'm the same. Star Trek has passed me by for many a year.
I have very, very vivid memories of watching Neighbours, watching Simpsons, then seeing the opening to Star Trek and going, that's a really cool theme song, and I really like that ship that zooms off really fast. But then the moment it began, I went, oh, that's a bit boring though, isn't it? And then went off to go into other things.
This looks rubbish.
I think from the look on Rich's face, I don't think Rich shared that view.
There was no one in my house, right? There was no one in my house, which is why, like, I never watched Star Wars as a kid. Like, I'd never read Tolkien when I was a kid, but there was no one in my house to put me right and go, actually, just here are the characters, this is what they're doing, and actually get me into it. The only Star Trek property that I've interacted with, which is probably quite common, I'd say, is the J.J. Abrams movies, and that is it.
That is so interesting.
And even then,
So interesting.
I didn't go back and watch any of the series. I think the only other one that I've interacted with, which isn't even Star Trek, I guess it's Star Trek adjacent, was the Seth MacFarlane TV series, which was really decent.
The Orville.
The Orville, yeah.
And what was the Tim Allen comedy, which is kind of Star Trek?
That was Galaxy Quest.
Fantastic, Dan. 2 out of 2.
Should go for a quick fire round.
Alan Rickman played what famous character in Tim Allen's Galaxy Quest? So I've been playing Star Trek Captain's Chair. Specifically, I've been playing the expandalone Star Trek Captain's Chair to boldly go. So, which is quite remarkable in a way, because Captain's Chair came out in 2025. To Boldly Go is a standalone sequel, but also an expansion, an expandalone as it's called, to Captain's Chair that came out this year. And there's also a separate smaller expansion, which is a genuine expansion, so you need either copies of the big game to play it, called Second Contact. So if you love Captain's Chair, right, you are eating well at the moment with the amount of stuff that WizKids is pushing out, but also shows how confident they are in the property and that it must be doing really, really well. I mean, if you were to base it off BGG scores alone, Captain's Chair is one of the highest ranking games at the moment on Board Game Geek. And so the game comes with pedigree, right? Which is kind of the reason why I wanted to try it out and I wanted to jump on board. So the designers are Nigel Buckle and David Turczi. And if you are in any way invested in the board gaming industry, you will have come across those names before. Probably more specifically David Turczi's name, only because he has pretty much created a solo variant for pretty much nearly every board game in existence now. I'd like to think
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
He's his how prolific he is in terms of creating exceptionally solid solo experiences is remarkable. He's made a lot of games which aren't solo experiences, but on the most point, he is known for having a high level of expertise when it comes to to creating a solo experience. And then you've got Nigel Buckle, who probably their most famous game is probably Voidfall. And I've played Voidfall a couple of times, and my word, that is a lot of game.
Yeah.
So the pedigree behind this game is huge. Also, it has a slight bit of provenance to it, in the fact that some parts of this game have been bastardized and cannibalized from another game that Nigel and David made together, along with Osprey Games, which is the Imperium series. So there's 3 games. There's Imperium Classics, Horizons, and Legends. Have you played any of the Imperium games, Richard?
I've got them, and I have,
Yes.
and I have played them, and they are a delicious series of games. I always constantly use they are literally, they're not even a skinny soup. They're like a full on chunky meal of a game that is, they're quite I would say they're daunting in terms of, you put the game like this on the table and you instantly feel daunted and go, oh, this looks overly complicated because there's so much asymmetry going on. But once you start playing it, that it just clicks, it just all makes sense. All the systems that you're working kind of work off each other. So yeah, I've it's one of the games that's in my collection, and occasionally I'll go, oh, I'm not playing that as much as I'd like to, but I don't think it's ever going to leave the collection, because I'd like to, one day I'm going to sit down, I'm just going to have a day of like Imperium and just kind of play them all, because it's just, and it works really, really well as a solo game as well as a 2-player.
It's an amazing solo game, and it is, the Imperium games are pretty incredible. So that was back in 2021. Imperium came out, and now 4 years later, here's Captain's Chair, which shares a lot with Imperium, but is distinctive enough to be its own game, and I would say is a superior game, because they've pretty much taken all the bits that I liked about Imperium and put them into this title, and shaved off all the things that I necessarily didn't like about the Imperium games, or that I thought was a bit of a struggle in terms of getting new players on board, that learning curve, etc., etc. So how Captain's Chair works is that you are a captain from one of several different lineages of the Star Trek series, right? So the first thing that you do when you play Captain's Chair is pick who's going to be your captain, and it could be James T. Kirk, it could be Khan, who's a captain in my edition that I've been playing, To Boldly Go. There's also Rebner. Another captain as well is Michelle Yeoh's captain from, is that Star Trek Discovery?
Yes.
I don't know. So you have your captain, and then you have your captain's board, and on your captain's board you have 3 different tracks. You have like research, influence, and military. And really the aim of the game is to do what everyone does in Star Trek, which is to explore the universe, okay? Explore different lands, explore and find different people, all in the name of the Federation, right? So there is nothing really here where it's about conquering. There's nothing really here about, damaging or subservience, or like one nation conquering another, which is kind of the vibe in Imperium. Here it's very much the Star Trekky vibe of, you are going out and you're exploring, and by exploring you're able to, that's going to get you a little bit of research points, that's going to increase your military value. And this planet that you've come across and done some research on, you're able to protect that planet now in the aim of the Federation. That's going to provide you some bonuses as you're going along. And you're doing all this. All this is powered by a deck, and each captain has their own unique deck. But to succeed, you've got to build out this deck. Yes, it's a deck builder. Here we go. But how you build your deck is unique, because the main way that you build it is by having this thing called the reserve. And this is lifted out of Imperium. Whenever you need to draw a new card but you can't, you first take a card out of your reserve and add that on top of your deck. And generally the cards in your reserve are more powerful than the cards that you started with. So the idea is that over time you are building and growing your deck, adding new people to it, finding new stuff, acquiring new ships. So as the game goes on, you are naturally growing and building your deck. There's also cards that you can acquire from a shop, and there'll be a mixture of different aliens and species and weapons and allies that you can get on board. And slowly, very slowly, over time, you start to build out these decks using a whole host of keywords that I won't even begin to explain. But needless to say that cards are made up of several factors. They're made up of like several instructions, when you can play them, when you can activate them once you've played them, but also traits and suits. And this is the other key part of Star Trek Captain's Chair, and what I've been playing to boldly go, is that what you're essentially doing, as well as building a deck, is building an engine based off these traits and suits, and collecting cards that will naturally synergize with each other. And where one card says, well, if you've got other cards of these traits or other cards of these suits, therefore this benefit is increased by that amount. Or if you've got these people present on one of your planets, then they're able to do this kind of thing. Or you can go and search for this specific card that has this specific trait in one of these decks and then add them into your crew. And my time with it so far, and I've played a couple of games as a 2-player. I've also played several games just as a solo player. And it is absolutely marvellous. And I think whereas Unstoppable feels like, right, I'm going to sit down for an evening and watch an action movie as a solo experience, Captain's Chair feels like, right, I'm going to sit down and watch something that's very, very intense and long and is really going to get my brain engaged. Right, I'm going to sit down and watch several episodes of The Wire or something like that, because the way it engages you as a solo player is just on an absolute other level from anything that I've really played before from a solo perspective. That, like, my solo games probably are reaching like 2.5, 3 hours long.
Wow.
And that is with a timer built into the game. So there is one of the things that they've improved from Imperium is they've built the timer that's involved in the game is a lot more present, and tends to kind of keep games from not going on too long. But my word, Captain's Chair feels like, whereas Unstoppable is like Sudoku, this is like a full-on New York Times Saturday morning cryptic crossword. Like it's just a level of puzzle.
And do you think that's that kind of length of time you've been playing it, and the kind of that pacing of it? Do you think that pacing is created? And obviously you say there's an in-game timer, but do you think that pacing and that slow kind of long form over a number of hours playtime. Is that coming from you, or is that the game? Because obviously, I think with a solo game, because you're not with anyone else, you're not having to think about anyone else's experience. You do have the freedom to just sit there and take your time as long as you want and think and rethink and constantly going back and forth within yourself as to what you want to do next and how you want to plan. So I think by its general nature, those games can sometimes go longer for that reason, that you aren't felt there. So what I mean is, playing it for that length of time, do you think that is the game that is creating that, or is it just the way that you are personally are playing the game?
Great question. I think when I've played this game as a 2-player, I think what the thing that we most commonly said to each other as players was, "I'm really sorry." Like, I realise I'm taking a long time. And then the other player would go, "Don't worry about it. I'm needing to have a little think. I'm needing to have a little think here about what I'm going to do." So I think that there is a big element where, as a player, you just want to make sure that you are doing absolutely everything that you can on your turn, because you've only got 5 cards that you can play. Some cards will allow you to draw more, but because every captain is so well defined, and because the nature of what it is that you're asked to build and create is so well defined as that captain, like the asymmetry is so incredibly strong, that there is, first of all, there's a challenge of working that out, and working out, right, what is this deck asking of me? What do I have to prioritize? What things do I have to chase after? And then it's right, actioning that through a very limited set of actions, and kind of building on that, and building a deck that you know is going to have a impact later on, and competing for planets in the center of the table that's going to give you a certain benefit that you'll know will work a certain way, like knowing that you've only got a limited number of actions. And so I think it's a partly it is the players, but there is, and I definitely could play it quicker, but part of me just really enjoyed just like being in that moment of having that time by myself, or even with another person, and going, right, I just really want to wring out this experience for everything that it's got, and really enjoy that as a process.
Controversial point or not. I mean, I'm aware that we've all played games where we've had a specific player count and it said 1 to 6 players. And I'm also aware that solo games, and it's clearly not, it's meant to be a 3-player game or a 4-player game, and it never ever works.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this is actually an absolutely amazing solo player game. The issue is that if you marketed this as a solo player game, you're not going to get as many people being interested in playing it as you market it as a 2-player game. And I'm just wondering, do you end up playing multiplayer solitaire, as in you're both playing your own solo game? Or should it have just been, this is a solo player game, ran with it, and then market it as such?
I kind of flip-flop on it. Like, sometimes I think it's an amazing 2-player game, and sometimes I think it's an incredible 1-player game. I think there are substantial positives and negatives to both experiences. When I've been playing it solo, I've often been reminded of that old philosophical adage, which is, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make any sound at all? And I'm sitting there going, if no one's around to see this incredible synergy that I'm about to pull off, then what am I doing with my life?
I mean, if you're not putting this on Instagram, I mean, are you even an influencer at all? I mean, that's what you're going to go down to.
So when I'm playing it solo, I'm kind of robbed of that experience. Like I'm just like, oh, that was an amazing turn, but there's just no one around to see it. Like,
Are you calling up Chris?
I'm just like, Chris, you won't imagine, you can't imagine what I've just done.
Sam, it's 2 a.m.
Exactly. You should go to bed.
The last point I'll make about Star Trek is just about the art. And this is a game by WizKids.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very, very kind enough to send us these copies of Captain's Chair, both Second Contact and To Boldly Go. And I did not know what to expect from the art, okay? WizKids in the past, when it comes to art, very, very hit and miss. More miss than hit. However, I will say that WizKids have gone so far down that line in terms of genuinely reflecting the Star Trek era that the cards are from, that I actually really like it. And alongside that, like if you go in the manual for all the books, you can, for all the versions of the game, like when they talk about the captains and how they play and how complex they are, they actually give you a watch list of that captain and episodes that are being referenced and in the actions that appear on the cards. So you can actually go and watch those specific episodes to see and understand what is being referenced on the cards, or where that character comes from, or why they're doing that specific thing. Like, the love for the IP is there where it wasn't with other WizKids properties. And I think that is another reason why it feels like such a genuinely lovely game to play.
I wonder if, because you're not a fan and you're not exposed to it, how a fan would actually look at it, and if a fan would be more picky. Because you saying to me that the pictures of Kirk and Khan are kind of like hand-drawn representations, that's probably directly taken from the movie poster Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
Which is absolutely considered to be one of the pinnacles of Star Trek, the Star Trek movies. It's considered one of the best, if not the best, Star Trek movie. And I would just wonder if somebody that was playing Captain's Chair as a real fan would look at it and go, oh yeah, I appreciate what they've done, but I'm not sure about this episode or that episode. So it's interesting that you're still finding the artwork and everything so evocative as somebody who's not really got any kind of emotional connection to the IP. That's very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, but I think it's just they've committed to a direction, and I really applaud it. Like, they've just committed to showing off the artwork in this way. And I mean, like, I don't think I'd like it for all IP products. Like, I don't think that this is the way to go, but Star Trek has obviously been around for so long and been on, seen everything, like cartoon, HD, 3D, CRT. Like, it has been through the mill in terms of all the different art it's represented over that time and all the different presentations. And again, coming to this, there will be Lower Decks fans buying this game. There will be Discovery fans buying this game. There will be original Star Trek fans buying this game. But I don't think there is an air of a cynicism within that. I don't think they've done that to purposely be evocative to those people who have nostalgia for that time, or that represents a Star Trek. I think it just demonstrates how broad and deep this series goes.
Speaking of nostalgia,
okay,
do you remember Transformers?
Remember it? Of course.
Still a thing, isn't it? Still a thing.
It's still an ongoing concern.
Look, I need an intervention, okay? I have discovered the world of third-party Transformers. Do you know what a third-party Transformer is? Dan, do you know what a third-party Transformer is?
Is this kind of off-license?
Yeah.
Transformers?
Yeah. It's literally like
Optimus Prime.
Well, it's not. See, the thing is, it's not.
Starscream.
It's not. It's not even that. It's literally there it is. There are entire like companies that have taken. This is a transformer. This is what a transformer looks like. This is what Optimus Prime looks like, or this is what various different kind of transformers look like, and they have decided to. And it's not just like a knockoff. We're not talking about kind of like doing the cheapest, most rubbish version of a transformer. These guys have gone full tilt with a fully engineered solution of a transformer to kind of like make it look amazing and make it look like a robot. That then transforms and it looks like the vehicle, and it transforms and it looks like something else. But the difference is these things cost a huge amount of money. Like these transformers, they're so well engineered, but they're like about £150 a shot.
What?
They're ridiculous. Let me I'm just gonna go on. That's my dog needing an escape. I'm gonna get one, and this is gonna be absolutely excellent podcasting, right? What?
So is there a company that makes these things, or is it just?
There's tons of them. There's tons of these companies. They're all. There's companies called like Fans Toys. There's companies called Iron Factory. There's companies called Dr. Wu. And they've all got one thing in common, which is Hasbro generally and Takara Tomy that make usually the kind of the Transformers. They're making them on a mass market basis. So what these guys do is they go fully tilt on making a fully kind of engineered solution. Now, you remember the Transformers when you were younger, if whether or not you do or not. But the idea was you did a couple of moves and it quite literally very quickly changed from a vehicle into a robot. These things, but this thing, right? He changes, he's Astro Train, but he can't be called Astro Train because that's breaking basically the IP. So he changes into Train and he changes into a shuttle and he's called Astro Train, but they call him Thomas. So Fans Toys call him Thomas because he changes into a train. So they can't call him Astro Train, so they get sued. So they call him Thomas. Now, the real version of this costs about costs upwards of about £200. But you now get into the market where you've got these. This takes probably about 10 minutes to transform between modes, right? So you're looking at something that takes 10 minutes to change in from a robot into a vehicle. And it's intricate and there's little bits that fold. And you should go and watch them on YouTube. It's really interesting. But you get like fourth party versions of these things, which are literally knockoffs of the third party using cheaper materials. And they're like half the price.
What?
So it's like a company will basically take ages and ages, like you're talking about, let's say Optimus Prime. So they'll take ages and ages making a fully engineered kind of looking Optimus Prime that really transforms and looks like a solid robot, you know, like you see in the movie or the original kind of 1986 cartoon or whatever. And it'll look absolutely fantastic. But then another factory will come along and go, that looks amazing. And what they'll do is they will literally take it apart, find out how to make it, and they'll retool it all, but they'll make it again using kind of like cheaper materials and then sell it for like a much cheaper price. And it's like they charge kind of like probably a half to like a third of the price. But the problem is it's not a problem. They're so proud of their work that they literally try and do the best job with the materials that you have. So when you do get the robot delivered, there's a couple of little snafus maybe on them now and again. But the quality on these things are just amazing. And I need help because they're so easy to get. It's like you order them. Like there's a I'm not going to name them directly, but they're called Transform. There's TF Safari. There's a couple of sites. There's TF Nation. they basically gather all like the third party, fourth party sellers in one place, and you can buy kind of like all these different things. But they ship them from China, and you go, oh, China. But they don't. They take like a week to arrive. Like a week. So it's none of this thing where you order something and go, all right, I've just paid £30 or £40 for this. I'll see it at the back end of September. This thing comes fully tracked in a week. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, Mr. Turner, Mr. Frost, I need an intervention because you can get. They look amazing. They fully transform, and it's like I feel like I'm like 11 years old again, and I've got the transformer of choice.
Hey, if it brings you joy, there's no intervention needed.
I just got like a big beef about Transformers. Like I've just struggled with them. So
why?
Because all I want is to press a button and the thing transforms.
But you get that. They're
job done.
But they're robot. You do get them. They're called robot. They're made by Robocen, and they're voice activated. And but the thing is, they cost about. Have you not heard of the? Oh, you might not have. This is ridiculous. This is me living in my own little world. There's a robotics company called Robocen, ROBOSEN, and they have made an automatically transforming Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, and Grimlock, and you give it a voice command.
Oh my word! I'm watching a video now.
Are you seeing that? I can't believe. And and because it's Robocen and because they program it, there's a mobile phone app you can get, and they can update the firmware. So as they release new robots, so they started off with an Optimus Prime, and everybody went, "Wow, this is amazing!"
Because my son's had several Transformers bought for him, both Transformers mainline and Transformers third party or whatever, just something that's usually dinosaur based, like it was a car and now it's a dinosaur. But it's Muggins here who has to transform it all, and they're so intricate and I have no idea how it is done. But my son wants this dinosaur that he's been playing with happily for half an hour to now be a car. And now I've got to transform it. Because it's too difficult for him to do, this child's toy.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how to put this thing together. And I know that immediately, as soon as I make it into a car, in 5 minutes' time, but I want this to be a dinosaur again.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking the £600 it costs to buy one of these Optimus Primes that transforms on its own is a worthwhile investment.
I'm just looking at a video of a Buzz Lightyear robot.
It's amazing. Why have I never heard of these things before?
Robocen make them, and that's what they do. I think I don't know if they're an offshoot or everybody's like an offshoot of Industrial Light and Magic and people kind of going out there on their own, but it's this whole thing. As we're at the point where you can engineer a toy that originally, because when Transformers came out originally, it was like, robots in disguise, and everyone, what? It turns into a plane, and it's like, and what do? You fold his head back, so he had his head, but he had a cone that looks like his birthday hat had fallen off the back of his head, and it was just sticking out. Now these things are just ridiculous. They actually fully transform. They fully look like robots, and I need help because there's some that it's not the third party ones, because the third party ones are like, I look at them and they're like, that's £150. I can't even get close to justifying that.
Well, as you listen to this podcast, you'll be fully aware of a member of the podcast team who is renowned for their falling down of rabbit holes, and we've not been able to help him. So I think you've come to the wrong place if you're looking for any kind of intervention.
We're in this golden age where somebody can actually engineer these things so they properly look like robots and they don't just look like a car that's kind of slightly folded quite badly, so it does have kind of arms and legs. And now next time I see Sam, he's going to send me a video and go, look what I got. It's like, can you just imagine?
But you show me one of your Transformers that turns into two things.
Yeah, this turns into two things. It turns into a train and it turns into a plane. It turns into the space shuttle.
That is just, for me, that is just staggering. But also,
Yeah.
like, when am I? I just what I'm trying to understand is,
Right.
You're sitting there, right?
Uh-huh.
And you walk into the room where your Transformers are, and you look at them and you go, actually, I want that to be a train today.
Yeah,
Like, what does that happen?
it does. It does. I mean,
Okay, right,
It does.
okay,
It does. It's literally
Fine.
no. It's not like a bad thing either. It's just like, sometimes where you just need to be doing something with your hands and you know how to transform it, so it's not like you're having to concentrate that much. And it's just like a brainy kind of distraction thing. And sometimes, yes, I will, the worst thing that can happen is if I transform one of them and then I have to go all the way along the line and transform the rest of them as well, which is never a good thing.
I'm just looking now at some of the weirdest Transformers that have been released. There was a version of there was a Mickey Mouse Transformer.
Yeah.
There was a version of Optimus Prime, but he could turn into a shoe.
Yeah.
There was, and I think this was there's something in Revenge of the Fallen where there was one that could also be a microscope.
Yeah, well, that's
Oh, they took a lot of liberties in those films.
Perceptors. This is the thing. There's an entire, if you think about Soundwave, right? Soundwave changed. I mean, the cool thing about Soundwave was Soundwave changed into a cassette player, but then the cassettes that were in Soundwave transformed into various kind of things as well. But at the end of the day, Soundwave was absolutely useless as a transformer because you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna get you now. I'm gonna play music at you. I mean, that's pretty rubbish. I mean, everybody, like, Megatron's like a gun, Optimus Prime's like a truck, and then Soundwave comes along and says, "Oh, here's the hits of Milli Vanilli," you know.
I've just had an amazing bit of
What's this?
nostalgia where I've stumbled across the Transformers Happy Meal toys.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you remember those.
they're absolutely fantastic, absolutely amazing.
I definitely remember that. I don't know whether it's a Mandela effect, but I certainly do remember getting some Transformers Happy Meal toys. If you were a Transformer, what would you turn into?
That's an interesting question.
Well, to me, Transformers was always vehicles.
Yeah. So what car are you turning into? Toyota Yaris.
I don't know why. The first thing that jumped to my head was like a motorcycle.
Oh yeah, go on, Dan.
That's the first thing that jumped into my head.
That'd be cool.
With your hands as the spokes.
Yeah. What parts of your? I mean, what parts of you would be the various things? Where would you have your wheels? I mean,
Where's your exhaust?
That's
We all know where that is.
Is that a single exhaust or a twin one? Because I mean, that's a completely different answer for a completely separate question.
Go on, Richard. If you could transform, doesn't have to be a vehicle.
Yeah, Red Panda.
And if it is a vehicle, what vehicle is it going to be?
All right, okay. If it's an animal, it'd be a red panda. Because I could just
yeah, I could see that.
I could just go about going like that all the time. What is it? Not me. Like that. If it was a vehicle, it'd have to be like a jet or a plane. I think you'd have to fly about. I think cars are okay. The irony of Astral Train is that he changes between a space shuttle and a train. So it's like, I mean, I'll catch them. I better find some track first.
See, I was going to say train, but then I can only transform in very specific locations.
You'd have to go. Where are we going to? We're off to the station, kids. Why? I've got to try.
Daddy needs to transform.
You'd be stuck. And the next thing you know, you get about 10 or 15 people getting on board you.
Clambering on me.
Like, how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you transform without? I mean, would you'd have to get rid of them before you could transform, or would you just say, well, it's obviously I'm not a real train because I've got a sticker on me that says I'm a transformer, so it's your own fault that you transform.
I I admire you, Rich, for thinking this deeply into the law.
A sticker's going to do it.
Well, I mean,
so if it isn't a train, well, why don't you, dear listener, suggest something that I could transform into, or indeed Chris and Pete, who can't be here, send us your.
Pete's would have broken down.
Pete's would have broken down. I think Pete just wouldn't be transport. So if you do have a suggestion, then send it along to stayinginpod@gmail.com, or just contacting us on Instagram at stayinginpod, where we will put up some pictures of Richard's Transformers in all their various transformational guises. What else can you do? You can check out the show notes to find links to all the stuff that we talked about, as well as the Spotify playlists, and which Chris generously puts together. And you can also find on the internet our curated pages on Board Game Geek and also on Steam. So video games and board games that we talk about on the show appear there. So if you want to follow what we're talking about, then that's a good and easy way to do this. As you've already heard and hopefully cottoned on, we have been joined this edition by the incredible Richard Simpson. Thank you very much for joining us. This is always your opportunity now to plug, press, impress upon us anything that you'd like to. This is your moment.
This is my moment. Okay.
To plug.
I think what you should do is you should tell everybody, even if you've told them before, tell them about the Staying In podcast and how wonderful it is. And it's like a comfy set of slippers. It's like the best comfortable jammies that you had. It's a wonderful walk in the park. It's like seeing a sunset. It's like realizing you've got a $5 in your back pocket and a set of wash jeans that you've just had. It's wonderful. If you haven't left a rating or review on your podcast of choice, stop just now, pause this, and go ahead and leave a nice little 5-star rating or 10-star rating or 50-star rating if you can. If you fancy a little bit of silly chat about board games, then come and visit us on We're Not Wizards. But this is the place to be. This is the place to be. If you're going to be, you could go outside, but sometimes you just got to be staying in.
You can come back again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it.
Although if that's you plugging your podcast, it's got a little more to be required, really.
I'm not. No, I don't. No. Call to action. And the action is, this is wonderful. I listen to it all the time, and it's a favourite of mine. It always makes me smile, and I always listen to it every episode as soon as I can. So
that's more than my wife does.
Right. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.